We oftentimes think about belonging as this like big overarching strategy, but it really lives in the nuance in the day to day. What does it look like to make sure there's a sense of belonging in those check ins, during those meetings, during those conversations, and even outside of that?
Welcome back to the CultureCon podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach. We're the co-founders of CultureCon and your host for the show.
This episode is part of a special series we created live on site in our podcast studio at CultureCon West 2025 in Las Vegas.
To capture these conversations, we partnered with our friends at the People Forward Network, our podcast media partner. A huge thank you to Nikki Gregory, who stepped in as host for these live studio sessions.
These episodes feature real-time insights, stories, and leadership lessons shared during the conference, giving you a front row seat to the energy and impact of CultureCon.
And we're excited to bring you along. Let's dive into today's conversation.
Hey, it's Nikki, live here in Vegas. Amazing. Look at this studio. It's so awesome. We're here for CultureCon West, and I'm here with my new friend, Latesha.
Hello.
And so excited to dig in as, you had such a passionate conversation with me to prep for being together today. And the core message that I heard from you was team performance is rooted in belonging.
Yes.
Tell me more about how did this come up to be like your main, like the center, the North Star for your message?
Yes, absolutely. I think belonging is everything when it comes to performance. I mean, imagine that you're in a workplace and you don't feel emotionally safe, you don't feel connected, you don't feel valued for who you are. That can lead to someone masking, code switching, right? Hiding pieces and parts of their identity for fear of exclusion or judgment. And because of that, there's so much energy that goes into hiding and masking and code switching that completely takes away from someone being able to actually perform and do their job well.
Yeah.
And so when organizations do focus on belonging, that helps to allow a space for people to just bring their full selves or their whole selves to work in a way where they can contribute and then just reach their highest potential.
So talk about the landscape of the world and the things that have changed. We're here at CultureCon and all of these leaders are passionate about building the best cultures, the best workplace, meaningful work. What has changed to make belonging at the center with the way of the world?
Yeah, I mean, what hasn't changed,
Right.
right? Like the change is the thing that has been constant. I think many of us are navigating some whiplash from change and experiencing change fatigue, right? So when we think about the landscape, there are so many things and situations that are impacting just the workplace, right? There is a lot of restructuring and layoffs going on. There is return to office mandates. We are also living in a well-being crisis right now where a lot of us are battling burnout. And so when you think about belonging, I find that belonging does include that inclusion. It includes wellness. It includes well-being, right? Belonging is also an emotion, right? Belonging is a byproduct of inclusion. And so I'm excited that organizations are talking more about belonging and focusing on that because when organizations do inclusion right, that is where belonging really shows up.
I'd love to hear a story or two
Yeah.
of a workplace, a leader that you admire and belonging done well. What does that look like?
Yeah, at my organization, we work with a lot of companies to help their people reach their highest potential, right? No one can reach their highest potential without feeling that sense of belonging. So when I think about the best leaders that we work with, I want to shout out one of our banking clients. I can shout him out, Cadence Bank. Cadence Bank is a phenomenal organization. Yeah. Hey, Jarrell. Colleen, Charlotte. We have been supporting their values and engagement work and their employee resource groups for years now. And Jarrell Moore is their CHRO. And what he does really well as a leader that embodies inclusion, belonging, safety is vulnerability, transparency, really, really good storytelling. When things, get hard, can I say this? I'm going to say it. When shit hits the fan, right? He is honest about it. He's real about it. He addresses the elephant in the room. So he really role models that well. But he also does a great job of getting people to buy into like the vision, right? Like things feel really hard, but this is not going to be this way forever, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're aiming towards. This is what we're working towards. And so, when I talk to leaders on a regular basis about like, how do I get my people engaged? How do I get them to perform well? It's, well, how are you role modeling inclusion? Like the best leaders role model inclusion, and they don't just talk the talk, but they walk the walk. You can't say you believe in this work, but you aren't living it, breathing it, doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So,
Modeling the way.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about you said earlier, what's not changing? Like everything is at fast speed, so much new and different, particularly with the wave of AI and new technologies. Let's talk about the shift in the HR function, particularly from the strategic mindset of HR and the key initiatives to prioritize if they were like, there's so much, there's so much changing and there's so much I need to oversee. What are the priorities in leadership of HR honing in on belonging?
Yes. I work with HR leaders on a regular basis, and they are dealing with so many things at one time. Everything feels really, really urgent because everything is important. And so if I could just say one thing to HR leaders, it's like you cannot boil the ocean. But what I will say is that when I think about great HR leaders and functions, it's helping people reach their fullest potential. Like I would love for HR to be changed from HR to like HP, like going from human resources to like human potential. So great HR teams really spend time thinking about how do I help my people, how do I help my teams, how to help my organization create conditions where people can really truly thrive, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to prioritization of belonging, what I would recommend is, look at what the overarching business strategies are, right? One of our clients at Perfecta is a health tech company, mostly focused on like well-being, right? You can access, well-being support therapists like really on your phone, right? Their biggest thing right now is like innovation. They are hitting the ground hard with innovation. How do we tie belonging to innovation? How can we help to create innovative products if our teams don't have an environment where they can innovate? Right. And so with belonging, tying belonging to innovation, if that's like the number one focus that, the C-suite has, right? For another organization, it could be around branding. It could be around, I don't know, helping to reach more folks in the community for some of our nonprofit clients. So how do we connect the work of belonging internally to our team so that they can then go out and help the community that they're trying to reach feel a sense of belonging when they're engaging with them? So I think that's the number one thing, right?
Yeah, really good. Let's lean into that HP, human potential, and think about it from the team member perspective, that when we pour into developing their potential and tying that to performance, like what does this look like? Let's take an example of one individual, Sally, and we are really leaning into that developing Sally. What's different in Sally when we're pouring into that, like from an outcomes perspective, just to kind of model it?
So let's think about Sally specifically and how we can really help her to have a sense of belonging, right?
Yeah.
It starts from like day one. It starts from when someone joins an organization. Like when Sally joined the organization, right? Did we spend time during onboarding, not just orienting her to the job and the task and the responsibilities, but to the culture, right?
Yeah.
Getting bought into the why, understanding like how her work and why she was hired, how does that connect to the overall success of the business? What is it about Sally's unique experiences or skill sets that led to the team making the decision that we want Sally here? And are we sharing that with her, right? How are we making sure that Sally has visibility to leadership, to opportunities, right? Those stretch opportunities or projects, right? Even when it comes down to the day-to-day, right? In one-on-ones or in team meetings, we oftentimes think about belonging as this like big overarching strategy, but it really lives in the nuance in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Right? And so what does it look like to make sure there's a sense of belonging in those check-ins during those meetings, during those conversations, and even outside of that? We can also systemize a lot of this too. Like you mentioned AI, right? Like AI is huge. AI is there to not replace our jobs, but if we utilize AI as like a coworker almost, right? To take out some of those like redundancies in our work, that can free up our time and our space to focus on some more of the human elements of the work.
Yeah. And just as a quick example, like with our team, we really lean into strengths-based leadership,
Yes.
like Clifton Strengths.
Absolutely.
And Sally, if we spend time using AI to help us because it's research-based, let's put her strengths in. Let's
Yes.
learn more about her. Let's learn how can we really speak to her in a way that she's like, I feel seen.
Yes.
Right. And
Absolutely.
tapping into her top 5 strengths and
Yes.
how do we bring those alive more in the work
Oh.
that she does?
Mhm.
Stands taller, right?
Right.
Is more proud of the work she's doing and feels that like autonomy to, just own her role.
And
Oh,
we use, we love shrink-based binders, or shrink binders. We use Elevated Communicator. That one's free. 16 personalities is also like Myers-Briggs as well. We use that one. Between those two, those really help us to understand how everyone is different, right?
Yeah.
And how based on those differences, everyone's going to have different needs when it comes to recognition, when it comes to feedback, when it comes to, what does growth look like for them, right?
Yeah.
Some folks don't care about, growth in terms of promotions and taking on more work. Some people just care about doing good work with good people,
Yeah.
right? Being able to have like work-life balance, being able to have space and autonomy, right?
Yeah.
To contribute, to give ideas and not feel shut down when they do share. The better we can understand, each person based on like who they are and meet them where they are, the better.
Yeah. And the word that's coming to mind is customize the experience. And it's really about building human connection, really getting to know the people. And many leaders are like, how do I do that for everybody? And that's where AI can come in to help. Like have a little cheat sheet for, your Sally folder that's built out to only pull this up so I can easily develop the next meeting or whatever. One thing I would love to dive into before we wrap up is thinking human potential, belonging at the center. It's all around driving this top performance to grow the company, but grow the individual. What do we have to unlearn? What needs to okay, we need to stop that. Like, what are some of those things that you're seeing in leaders we've got to unlearn?
We got to just unlearn our biases. We have to unlearn those assumptions that we're putting on people and really getting to know them, right? And so, with our bias is there to protect us, right? Everyone has bias. Some biases are good, right?
Yeah.
But some can hinder us from building real relationships. And so we might be making an assumption about like Sally, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, Sally is a parent. She's a caregiver, right? And so we are making assumptions about Sally's ability to show up and contribute or not because of her life outside of work, instead of really understanding her experience and her situation and unpacking how the work can be more flexible so that she can do her job well, right? And handle her responsibilities outside of work. So just like unlearn any biases, like throw them out when you are getting to know someone for the first time. Or maybe also you feel a bit distance between you and your team, right? Throw out all of those assumptions and then start from scratch, right?
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other one that's come up a few times here at CultureCon is the mindset we take on someone's background as the path to the next step. What have you done in your background? And that's our determining factor on if we're going to allow you to go this path. It's like, let's take that away and look at the true potential,
Absolutely.
right? Tapping into that core of what you said, HP, really like that. All right. Well, as we wrap up, I'd love to hear, your bold challenge for leaders. If you were to summarize, so here's my true challenge for you to tap into belonging at the highest level for your people and for your organization. What is that bold challenge?
My bold challenge for leaders to really tap into belonging, it is going to be 2 parts. Talk to your C-suite. Have a conversation with your C-suite, a very honest, a very real conversation, and ask them the question of, where does belonging sit in terms of business priorities? Or you could ask, how can belonging unlock and unleash the priorities and the goals that we have for the business in 2026 and beyond? Take that, go back, right? Look at how you are prioritizing your time and spending your time, and then present a business case to your C-suite around how this work is going to help them be able to achieve that. The second one is that if your organization has ERGs, we love ERGs at Perfecta. We work with ERGs quite a bit. Go to your ERG leaders and talk to them about the members' sense of belonging at the organization, because ERGs are really tapped into the employee experience and employee sentiments on the day-to-day. And that's going to give you a lot of really, really great information, right? And so I do find that's what HR does, is like you're constantly trying to balance like employee needs with, C-suite and business goals, and being able to do that. And then hopefully you can find a sweet spot in the middle to understand where to move forward from there.
Latesha, thank you for joining today. Your message is powerful, and keep being a great ripple of change in the world. So glad to have you at CultureCon West.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on this episode of the official CultureCon podcast.
If you got something out of it, share it with a friend, a teammate, or a fellow culture geek.
And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And if you want more ways to stay connected and inspired, check out our upcoming events page for a full listing of webinars, workshops, and conferences.
You'll find the link in the show notes, and we'd love to welcome you to a CultureCon event soon.
Until next time,